Complete works of Oscar Wilde, very meaningful to me. I love the work of Oscar Wilde. I love the short children's stories that he wrote. I think there's profound truth in there. I particularly like De Profundis. It's a letter that he wrote to his lover, Lord Douglas, and it's all about self-forgiveness. Who is Christopher Smith? He was born in Nottingham in the UK, in a small working class area. Fair to middling student. Enjoy playing and watching sports. Just a very normal, average person who likes the simple things. I love hanging out with my family, likes the changes in light, likes the slowness of the days in the Blue Mountains. Enjoy reading.
Harry Potter was a highly unusual boy in many ways. For one thing, he hated summer holidays more than any other time of the year. For another, he really wanted to do his homework, but was forced to do it in secret in the dead of night.
This is a book that was given to me by a friend and colleague. It's a book of mystical poetry. They always kind of go well in reading groups. 20 poems from the School of Life that was actually given to me as a present by a member of a group, and it's just poems that I can turn to if things are difficult, as they sometimes are when you're running an organisation, and hopefully it gives me a little bit of inspiration to kind of keep going. Every day is a fresh beginning. Listen, my soul, to the glad refrain, and, spite of old sorrows and older sinning, troubles forecasted, and possible pain, take heart with the day and begin again. By Susan Coolidge. I'm Christopher Smith, and I'm the CEO of Shared Reading New South Wales. I run shared reading groups in communities across the Blue Mountains and beyond. I think it's called The Moviegoer. The character in the end, his last line is, I never did a thing that I wanted to do in my life. And that always scared me to death, like that last line. And so I kind of live, I guess, to a certain extent like that now, like what might I regret in the future if I don't do it now. I try and do things now that I'm not going to regret, even if it means I don't necessarily succeed all the time or have a lot of financial resources, I think there's more important things than that. There's a street called Wentworth Street, so you can park here. Yeah. All right, I'll see you in a moment. My story in 2 chapters. Chapter 1 would be trying to do the right thing, what I thought was the right thing. And by that I mean what was right for other people, what they expected of me to try and feel a sense of security in the world or a sense of belonging in the world. Has anyone heard from anyone to say they're not coming?
Judy has a doctor's appointment.
And chapter 2 would be the absolute reversal of that, which is to actually go deeper and find what it is that brings me to life. And what it is that brings me to life is very often something that will bring other people to life too. So the story that we have is called The Stranger, and it's by Catherine Mansfield. And you are welcome to follow along with us or close your eyes or do whatever feels comfortable. I get up at 4, I blurry-eyed stumble out of bed, drive down the hill to a cleaning job that I do in a local school, and then at 9 o'clock I have shared reading project, so I'm either in a high school or in a retirement village or in a local neighbourhood centre or a mental health drop-in centre where I'm doing a reading group. In the afternoon I'm doing email correspondence, grant applications, talking to clients about establishing reading projects. You do need to think about the questions that you're using to prompt the conversation. So are they going to be about the characters? Are they going to be about the situation? Are they going to be about how someone feels? Are they going to be about what they remember?
Actually, I wanted to ask about the poem as well.
And then just make dinner and try and get in bed at a reasonable time so that I can wake up at 4 o'clock the next day. The stranger. It seemed to the little crowd on the wharf that she was never going to move again. There she lay, immense, motionless on the grey crinkled water. A loop of smoke above her, an immense flock of gulls screaming and diving after the galley droppings at the stern. You could just see little couples parading, little flies walking up and down the dish on the grey crinkled tablecloth. Other flies clustered and swarmed at the edge. Now there was a gleam of white on the lower deck, the cook's apron or the stewardess perhaps. Now a tiny black spider raced up the ladder onto the bridge. In the front of the crowd, a strong-looking middle-aged man, dressed very well, very snugly in a grey overcoat, grey silk scarf, thick gloves and dark felt hat, marched up and down, twirling his folded umbrella. He seemed to be the leader of the little crowd on the wharf, and at the same time to keep them together. He was something between the sheepdog and the shepherd. But what a fool! What a fool he had been not to bring any glasses. Just stop there for a moment.
The author, I feel like she's developed this whole world that's visual and emotional and I feel like I'm so involved.
He's quite a kind man. He's very nervous.
He's looking at his clock all the time. He's talking about how it's going to turn around and they're all apprehensive.
He seems to be waiting for his partner, right, or his wife.
We don't know how it's going to be
No.
when they meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the wife's been away for 10 months. That's like a year.
It's a long time, yeah.
He's a bit smothering. But also my impression is she's still in that space of where she's been. That's the impression I got. And he's all, whoa.
She has no sensitivity whatsoever.
She doesn't.
Yeah. She's got something on her mind, hasn't she? She's got this experience that she kind of needs to offload. Okay, well, we'll see what they were waiting for, maybe. Bibliotherapy is actually as old as stories themselves. The ancient Greeks used theatre. It was kind of psychodrama where people would go and discuss the elements of the plays that resonated with their lives. This organisation started because I was studying at university, I was studying the poetry of John Keats and trying to analyse it through a psychoanalytical perspective. And instead of doing that, because that was fun but essentially pointless, instead of doing that, I found through the research where literature was being applied in clinical and therapeutic settings, and that was what bibliotherapy is, the use of books for the purposes of healing. So reading itself is an act of bibliotherapy. What this organisation does is becomes more intentional with reading. It will put reading in the hands of people that perhaps don't read or perhaps struggle to read, and then it will ask questions about the reading to try and elicit how people resonate with the literature and to try and get them sharing stories and sharing wisdom and ideas.
Being out of Australia for some years and coming back, and people, for them, they would talk to me about what happened yesterday here.
Yeah.
And they didn't relate to anything that might have happened to me during those years I was away.
I understand that. I get that too. Like whenever I go home in England, I mean, it's like nothing has happened.
I've lived in Blackheath for 2.5 years, and I started coming here almost about 2 years ago to this group. I was looking for a way to connect and to meet people because I was a bit isolated after I first got here and didn't know people. And I just couldn't believe how amazing it was.
I just loved sitting in the chair and listening to Chris's beautiful British accent read in that slow, deliberate way. It was almost meditative.
The idea of someone telling me a story and I could listen and respond and share thoughts and ideas and feelings with other people and feel accepted and cared about and supported. It was just amazing. And through this group, so many close friendships have developed, not just for me, but for all of us.
Come in. How are you doing?
Do you
It's
remember
nice to
the
see
first
you.
time we met?
I do.
And then I came 2 weeks and no one else came.
It was just me and you in a room, and I was listening to your life story. Yeah. It was great. It was fun. I miss those times. Go and get some snacks and sit down, and we'll start shortly. Hello. How are you doing,
Really
Brian?
nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you too. Thank you. No, I haven't got it. Oh, that's amazing. I love like collections like this. Thank you. The Penguin Book of Welsh Short Stories. Kay knows that I love odd, idiosyncratic collections of short stories. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Julie. Happy birthday to you. Hooray! Hooray! The first grant that I applied for was actually in Woollahra, because I was living in the city at the time. I think it was one of the first grants that I applied for, and I got it. And so it told me this is possible. From very humble beginnings, I remember sitting in a little studio that I had on my computer, sending off emails about shared reading and nothing coming back, getting no responses from anyone, and just kind of doubting at each moment whether it was ever going to work. You know, like people have framed the first dollar bill. I've seen that sometimes where they frame their first dollar bill they ever made, and it's a kind of indication of something. It's an indication that something's possible. So I'll always be grateful to Woollahra Council for funding the first shared reading project. Gradually, over 10 years, something's built that's actually quite special, and you're all here as testament to that. And we're here to also talk about the seriousness of mental health. La Trobe University have been doing a research project into the benefits of shared reading. So 93% said the groups helped me understand myself better. 78% agreed I've grown more confident since joining the group. It's a very interesting time when we're all seemingly so connected. Actually, we're lonelier than we've ever been before. So the research points to the fact that we're more lonely now than we ever have been. So I want to create environments where people can be themselves, where people can kind of reveal who they are without fear of being judged, without competition with other people, with an intention to improve the quality of connection between us. That's what will kind of overcome loneliness.
And when the war was ended, I came back to work once more, and they sent me off to Lithgow on 1174.
Last year, at the beginning of the year, in the good old Blue Mountains Gazette, there was an advertisement. Went to training, met the delightful Chris Smith. He read a story called The Tunnel, and I was hooked, not only by the way he read it, but the stopping and discussions that occurred throughout that story. It was magic.
I've been coming for quite some time now, and I've found this has developed a very unique relationship with the people that come here, because we didn't know each other. I don't think anyone knew anyone else at all before we came.
There's a lot of trust that's developed between us. There's a great feeling of safety and connection. So I think that might explain that to some extent.
There's something about the way the group works that has enabled not just me but other people to form friendships within the group.
The stories evoke us to talk about stuff that we talk about in the group that we never talked about to anyone else, and that's kind of a unique kind of friendship or relationship.
It's probably the only place I've ever come where you can get to know people much more deeply, much more quickly.
I don't think there's ever been any arguments or things, but there's been really interesting discussions.
Everybody is totally accepted.
We, unaccustomed to courage, exiles from delight, live coiled in shells of loneliness, until love leaves its high, holy temple and comes into our sight to liberate us into life. Love arrives, and in its train come ecstasies, old memories of pleasure, ancient histories of pain. Yet, if we are bold, love strikes away the chains of fear from our souls. We are weaned from our timidity in the flush of love's light. We dare be brave, and suddenly we see that love costs all we are and will ever be. Yet, it is only love which sets us free.
I've just been through like 2 years of like very, very bad illness, and just retreating completely into, just describe that shell. That was me, and very exiled from delight. Everyone go away. I'm a loser. I can't work. I can't, and just like, and little by little, the people around me have sort of worn me down with their love. Like I was just sort of like, oh, is this just about my life?
There's something profound in how people respond to stories, because stories themselves are profound. So people respond in profound ways, and also they hear or feel other people wanting to know more of their story. So for people that perhaps have never felt like they could share their story before, suddenly sharing their story in a room full of people who are not only tolerating it but actually fascinated by it is quite powerful.
I spent a long time at university sick, with chronic fatigue. I had heart palpitations and dizziness and a lot of for 3 years, which wasn't necessarily the problem. The problem was that I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. I was in exactly that coiled shell of loneliness. It's only recently, really, that I've allowed myself to tell people around me that was a thing, because it's still a thing, it's still around, it's not as bad, but to let people know, and that is a freedom.
Of course, Chris is fantastic in the work he does and the way he manages to include everybody and support everybody through whatever they reveal, and people do talk about very personal and deep things, and he's a great leader, and we're just so lucky to have him and this group here.
Okay guys, this is a story called The Guest by Albert Camus. I'm sure you've all heard of Albert Camus. Existentialist, isn't that what you called him? So this story is set in Algeria.
This is in French, right? It was written in French.
Yes. Once his hands were free, he rubbed his swollen wrists against each other, took the glass of tea and sucked up the burning liquid in swift little sips. Wasn't sure what to expect, but I kind of initially was a bit anxious because I found they're very intelligent, very insightful, very well educated. I thought, oh, who am I to reading to these people? But they seem to love it.
The first session that I facilitated, holding the material, I was almost shaking. At that point, I was not very confident with my own skill in shared reading and certainly what it might do. And as I was reading the material, I was looking up and looking all around and thinking, are they even interested? Is anyone listening to this? What do they think about this? Is it do they think it's like a children's activity, or what do they think? So all these thoughts were going through my head, and that process of reading slowly and reflecting as a facilitator, that's never gone away. I still do that in sessions today. I'm still concentrating on whether they're interested or enjoying it, and you can never tell who's enjoying it and who's not. I've learned that as well, because sometimes the people that are the most stony faced are like, this is profound.
I'll pause there for a moment in case anybody wants to comment.
So you got this conflict between the the French who are the ones in charge, and then
Yes.
what you call them, the original inhabitants, I suppose. I taught a student from Morocco who, to all intents and purposes, was, seemed very withered and together.
Yeah.
And then I talked to him individually later, and he told me that he'd actually been a political prisoner and tortured. I remember even at that age thinking how sad that was.
Yes.
And, to sort of feel that no one understood him. He was there all on his own.
I remember really dreading the first stopping point because I was thinking, what if no one responds? What if I'm just left in silence and nobody wants to talk? And when I stopped and when I asked the question, and then when someone responded, the kind of relief that went through me was really palpable. And then the person that invited me, I could see that she was really engaged and enjoying it. And one by one, everyone started to kind of share. And I remember one woman told a story about depression. The person that had invited me said she's been coming here for years and we've never heard that story from her. We've never heard that. I kind of suspected that it had huge potential before that, but it really dawned on me in that session, just that first session that I did, that this was really powerful, that it actually had an application not just in that group, but potentially across the world.
You come without any expectations. No one has to have understood onomatopoeia or similes, personification, alliterate. All that doesn't count. You don't need anything other than yourself. You don't even have to say a word.
It's called Remember by Christina Rossetti. When you can no more hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go, yet turning stay.
Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me, you understand. I will be late to counsel, then I'll pray. Yet if you should forget me for a while and afterwards remember, do not grieve. For if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that once I had, better by far you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad.
First time you've read a poem for us. Thank you.
Always the first time for everything.
The joy of Dorothea today wanting to read the poem again, that was the first. Great authors and poets were able to express things about the human condition that we can't express ourselves. Our joy is finding the best of literature that will make people think, be happy, enjoy each other's company, remember things they haven't thought of forever, tell stories about themselves and their families, which the rest of us feel privileged to know about. The things I've learned about people have astounded me.
What I like most is that the stories cause the different people in the group to think about their own experiences, what's happened in their own lives.
Sometimes you feel like life's running away a bit, but we need to find real meaning in life. And when we shared experiences, how one person copes with a situation and sharing it helps you. You mightn't even say anything about it, but when you go home, it's just deep there inside you, and it helps you just reflect on life and the meaning of it.
An inspiration, I guess, to reflect on your own values sometimes, and then to be able to, sort of sound those out with the other people in the group, which is, it's refreshing, it's good, you're heard, you're listened to.
I mean, here we are in a bare church hall. We pull down trestle tables that can be very cold in winter, put on the kettle, and we sit around and we take into other worlds.
What's next for Shared Reading is we're looking to expand our reading groups across New South Wales, across Australia potentially. So we're looking at doing a lot more training for facilitators who want to volunteer for the organisation and do reading groups in their communities. And we're really looking to secure the financial foundations of the organisation as well, so that the organisation can start to move towards thriving and growth. We've got a website, www.lifetheuniverseandstories.org.au, and there you'll find information about our training. You can access training courses that are up online at the moment, and you can book projects, or you can just get in touch and have a chat about what it is that we do.
It's sort of like you start reading and then you like fade into the world, some different world, and like you don't realise, and then someone's like, "Hey, dude, you okay? It's recess," and we're like, "What?" But class didn't even start. You were reading through the whole thing.